Tyrone.
Oh, Tyrone's not here. It's Freddy Krueger. Tyrone's in my boiler room, burning.
You know Halloween was last week, dude.
Wait! Before we get started into this, please do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button right down there. We really do appreciate it. We are kind of late on this, even though Halloween was like 3-4 days ago. I decided to watch Pearl first and then go into X.
Yes, Tyrone watched it backwards.
It's only back because when it was released, but in the time frame,
No.
Pearl came out first in the time frame within the story, because Pearl came out was set in 1918 and X was set in 1979.
But see, I think it's intended to be watched the way it was released, because if they wanted you to watch it the other way, they would have released it the other way. Luckily, I don't think it has much of an effect, but I think we should start with X.
Farmer's daughter, take one. I need to be famous, Wayne. All the best people are.
There ain't nobody else out there like you.
You know why?
Why?
Because you got that X Factor.
It's in Texas, 1979, starring Mia Goth plus Kid Cudi.
Yeah, what a surprise, right? This is like, Kid Cudi's everywhere now. He's everywhere. And he was the executive producer of Pearl.
Yes. They're all here to make a porno. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like a group of young adults who are young aspiring filmmakers. Some of them want to be in front of the camera, some of them want to be behind the camera, but they all want to be stars, baby. And they think the best way to do that is through porn. So they're like, we're gonna shoot a porno, but we're gonna do it on the low. They're like, we're gonna go and find this old rickety farmhouse and we're gonna shoot this, X-rated film without the owners knowing, But there's a whole lot more to this farm than they ever would have suspected.
Now let's back up. The movie starts at the end. It comes on to a crime scene. You got another black sheriff. And he's coming in doing the...
Right.
I ain't never seen no shit like this.
Good. God.
My God.
Get me to DA's office.
But what's interesting is the way it's shot. It's shot from his point of view. So you mostly just see his face. And then all the carnage is kind of out of focus in the background where he's like stepping over a body or something like that. And you're not really sure what happened or what he sees. And then the movie backs up to 24 hours prior to that. And we see what unfolded at this farmhouse.
Yes. Everyone did a really good job in this film, believing that they're perverts that want to be stars. Okay.
Yeah, and they kind of had an interesting points of view on this, because there's some people in the group that thought it was kind of pervy and gross. The other people were like, well, how was it pervy or gross if everybody is okay, it's totally consensual, and it's not real life, it's not like we're all falling in love with each other or something like that. We're all here to make a buck. We're all being professional. What's the big deal? And so I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting, And the main executive producer guy, he's like, you know what, I think this video on demand thing is going to be a big deal coming up, and I want to be a part of it. And you know what? He was right. And he was so right, actually, that video on demand became popular because of porn. Like almost every type of movie format you've ever seen or video format you've ever seen becomes popular because of porn. Back in the Blu-ray days, Blu-ray beat out was it HD DVD or whatever?
DVD,
yeah, because it was easier for porn to be shot on it. So, or X-rated films. I don't know how the heck we're gonna keep this video on YouTube, but we're gonna try our best. But the reason why Blu-ray became popular is because of porn, and the reason why Blu-ray's dead is because of porn, and the reason why streaming is popular. Because of porn. So the movie is kind of meta in that this is a movie about people making movies, but also it's about the film industry and how, ironically, the thing that no one ever wants to talk about is the cutting edge is usually porn.
That porn thing links to the first movie.
This is the first movie. You mean the second movie?
Sorry, the second movie. But on this farm, we had 2 people.
We don't initially know that there's 2 people. We really only know
Initially.
of one. We know of an old man with a shotgun. And the first time we
Howard.
see him, Howard. First time we see him, we don't even see his face. We just see the barrel of that freaking gun. And you immediately do not like Howard.
Yeah, Howard was like, "What are you doing here? You from the city?"
And he's like, you know what? Technically, you're on my property. That means I can shoot. You know, he's like quoting the law at him. He's like, yo, hold on, man. Like he is thought this through. And you're like, has he done this before?
Man, there's a lot of things when it comes to horror movies where you'd be like, I wouldn't do that. You know,
that's why you're not the main character, though, right?
No.
They don't want you as the main character.
They don't.
You want someone a little more curious.
Yeah,
a little less cautious.
They don't want real life Tyrone to be in here.
No.
Real life Tyrone wouldn't be out there in the middle of country Bumpville. You know?
Yeah, I was actually worried. And the movie never talks about this, but I was worried about Kid Cudi. I'm like, yo, he's like riding through the country.
It's 1979, bro.
I don't care what year it is. I ain't going to the country at no farm. You can forget that. I'm like, yo, there are some spaces we cannot move in. You know, people look like me and you. You know what I'm saying? We can't move in these spaces.
That is
so
true.
You're right. If Tyrone and Devin were in this movie would end quick because we wouldn't be out there. You know, they'd be like, "Hey, you want to shoot a porno?" We'd be like, "No," and then credits.
As we said, we meet Howard, but we don't see his wife, and his wife's name is Pearl. But she's creeping around corners, looking at them and the things that they're doing. And ironically, Pearl is played by the same person as Maxine in this film, which is Mia Goth.
But what's interesting about the wife's introduction is I wasn't sure, and this is like what led to the creepiness, is I wasn't sure if anybody else was aware that there was another person in the house except for Mia Goth's character. Because Mia Goth is, if I recall, was the first person to see the Pearl in the window. And she doesn't say anything. Once they start shooting the porno, I lost track of the story. I didn't understand what the old man wanted. I didn't understand the point of Pearl's character. And then right when I was really starting to check out, thankfully the blood started flowing, and that kind of kept me in the film. But I wasn't as much as I'd heard about this film, I really wasn't entertained that much.
Yeah, I think I was entertained because I went backwards. I saw Pearl first, to where I saw the character growth within Pearl as a young woman in 1918 and after the war, and how alone she felt and wanted to be a big star, and how crazy she was and things like that, to where I understood as soon as they got on that thing, something bad is gonna happen.
But see, I always think that's a flaw, and maybe I'm wrong, but I always feel like it's a flaw if you have to watch another movie to understand this movie. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, especially that movie that you watched didn't exist when X came out. So right. I think I didn't like that. I can't just enjoy. I felt like I could not really enjoy X on its own. I thought there was a mystery with X. I was like, okay, we're gonna find out Howard and Pearl's motivation, and whatever their motivation is, it's gonna be killer, and we're gonna find out what's in that basement, and whatever is down there is gonna be killer. And no,
it was a naked dude hanging up,
and
he was dead.
Why?
I don't know. Pearl wanted to feel loved, sexy again, and she couldn't feel that from her husband, because her husband is about 2 seconds from a heart attack each and every day that he wakes up. Right. And so she's like, I got to get my kicks off with whoever that comes up here, lock them up, torture them, and have sex with them.
Right. And young Mia Goth's character, she even calls her like a sex fiend or pervert or something. Pearl was saving Mia Goth's character. She was like, oh, she's got the X factor. I like her. I don't like blondes. I like her, and I'm like, saving her for what? And I'm like, is she just gonna rape her? I feel like that wasn't 100% clear. And I thought, okay, Pearl will clear that up. We'll understand that she's some sort of a rapist or sex fiend or something. And none of that is in Pearl.
Please, Lord, make me the biggest star the world has ever known, so that I may get far, far away from this place.
Now, caring for your family during these times is admirable, but you only get one take at this life.
If only they would just die.
Pardon?
Nothing.
The thing in Pearl is that they wanted to focus on her mental illness.
Right, or something, yeah. What we learned is something's off. Something's wrong with Pearl.
I liked Pearl more because I felt like
Same.
it was more focused on one thing, which is her illness and her hatred for her mother for keeping her there in this house when she wants to be this big star that's out there dancing, but when she doesn't get her way,
Right.
things go bad.
Sorry, it's just not what we had in mind.
What?
Next.
No, I'm a star! Please, I'm a star!
Pearl is, of course, a prequel to X. Pearl takes place from the old lady's point of view. She's young, she's a dancer or an aspiring dancer, but unfortunately she lives on a farm. Now, from her point of view, this farm is a piece of shit, right? She hates this farm.
Yeah.
But the farm we see is actually quite beautiful, right? And the image is super oversaturated. It looks almost cartoony, right? Like it looked, especially compared to X. And they even copied some of the same shots. The first shot of both movies are identical, where we see the camera from inside the farmhouse, and then it pushes back and pushes on towards the main house. But of course, in X, there's a crime scene, and then but in Pearl, it's beautiful and the farm is lively. But Pearl is there and she's unhappy. She is a small town farm girl who wants to be a dancer, a movie star. And she finally has an opportunity or she thinks she finally has an opportunity to do that. All she has to do is audition for this dance troupe, and all her dreams will come true. But her overbearing mother is like, no. And now we have problems.
Yeah, she's overbearing, super religious, and you know, she knows about her darkness within her daughter. But back then in 1918, therapists?
Yeah, therapy wasn't really a thing. Right?
No.
and I feel like the mom kind of, and maybe this is me reading into it, but I feel like the mom insinuated that she understood Pearl's darkness because she had that same darkness within her, right? She obviously left Germany, right, to live in the United States. We all know what the heck's going on in Germany, and it ain't no good.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
1917, 1918.
Yeah, things are going kind of funny.
War.
Yeah, and there's a young soldier rising to power. we will all learn, with a terrible mustache, and we'll all learn his name pretty soon. So maybe Pearl's mother fled that, knowing that, you know, in that kind of environment, she might be, you know, a monster herself, and she seems to recognize this in her daughter, and that kind of stuff I liked, because those are called like characters. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, Pearl feels like a smaller film, but it focuses more on like
big themes,
exactly. And I liked that a lot more. And I thought it was shot better too. I thought it looked better. I thought Ty West really upped his game for Pearl.
I feel like she did old boy dirty, man, from the theater, because she would go get her father medicine, but she would sneak over to the theater to see a film. And you know, Pearl was married, and her husband was in the war, which is Howard. She fooled around with this guy until her and her mother got to a fight. She burned her mother to crisp, and he noticed all that stuff going on in the house, and he's like, I gotta go.
And I liked how they hinted that something was wrong with Pearl before we really saw too much more. Like the way she killed this cute little goose in the beginning of the film, you're like, oh, she did that way too easy, you know? And she was almost kind of happy. She was like skipping around the goose on the end of like a big pitchfork, and you're like, oh my God, you know, something's wrong with Pearl, you know? And like you said, the projectionist, he sees this pretty quickly.
What did I do wrong?
Nothing. Calm
No!
down.
Why are you leaving me if I didn't do anything wrong? I don't understand that, so you like me!
I do like you. I just...
Tell me the truth!
And same with Pearl's best friend, which is her sister-in-law.
Yeah.
And she tries to be patient with Pearl, but Pearl really just keeps going over the edge. But, you know, she's like, you know, I need to excuse myself as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Her ambitions to be a star took over her whole life, and she would do anything and kill anybody to make sure that she see her dreams through. Now that did not carry into the character that she was in X.
Yeah, I didn't carry at all. I didn't really understand. She felt so different that I didn't understand. I mean, to be honest, they felt like completely different characters in very different movies. To the point that I just thought, you know, the fact that they had the same actress playing in both movies, it felt more like a coincidence than anything, right? It didn't really feel like they didn't play the same character. Right. And the fact they're on the same farm also just felt like a coincidence. I didn't see like carryover from our characters. There are themes that carry over, things like wanting to be a star, loving yourself instead of just like wanting other people to love you, because obviously Pearl didn't seem to love herself that much. She seemed to think she was cursed or something. So
right. Well, let's get into the rating of X and Pearl. The fact that I think that X was lacking because it wasn't connecting so much with the movie that they came out with afterwards. So X gets the C+ for me.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I wasn't feeling X. I watched it first and it made me nervous. I was like, it's gonna be a long night. And so I like your C+, and I'm gonna give it an even C. I think this is for me an easy pass, and it's also an easy pass after having seen Pearl. I don't think you need to bother with X.
And for Pearl, I think that the writing was definitely better. Yeah, it was just an overall better story, which made it more engaging film. So I'm gonna give that a B.
Yep, I like your B. I'm giving this a B as well. I liked Pearl a lot more. I like that in a weird way. I like that you don't need X to enjoy Pearl.
Yeah, you don't.
And I feel like Mia Goth actually showed off a lot more talent in Pearl as well. Like she has this long monologue, endless. I mean,
I was locked in though. I was locked in.
Yeah. And it's one long take. And it's just this one crazy long, insane, psychotic monologue. And I thought she delivered it like incredibly. It's a shame that Kid Cudi wasn't actually in Pearl, but I'm glad he got to do something. Because Kid Cudi seems to be having quite the year, man. I think his album did really well. Obviously, we just reviewed Intergalactic, which we both absolutely loved. So I think Kid Cudi's having a banner year.
Do you recommend people to go see Pearl?
I recommend you see Pearl. I don't recommend X. I say don't bother. It's not bad.
It's not needed.
After having, not needed. It just feels like fluff.
Well, that is our double feature review for X and Pearl. Hey, thank you for clicking on this video, man. We really appreciate you. Our subscriber count has been going up, and it's all because you people out there watching us on YouTube. So please do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. It's over there, right there. All right. And hey, if you liked our review for both of these films, hey, hit that thumbs up. It really does help out the channel. Or you can hit that thumbs down, whichever you choose. It is your opinion. But just remember one thing, it is mostly wrong. See you guys in another awesome film.